banana republic tyranny. Okay, so hopefully this is working here. Let me know if you can see me. Am I live yet? Let's see here. Unless this is totally crapping the bed as it usually does. Yeah, we might have to restart a few things, but let's see here. Banana Republic tyranny. Okay? Banana Republic. So I think it might have started right in the middle of the stream as usual. Banana Republic. Yes, it did. So, anyways, I was saying, Banana Republic tyranny. The truth here is, this is the crossing of the Rubicon with the Trump nuclear code disclosure that he supposedly has these nuclear codes in his, well, of course, it's not really nuclear codes. It's like documents relating to some sort of nuclear information. Okay, and then on top of that, they're saying now that, this is possibly related to the Espionage Act, which, people have been executed for that. So, again, though, this is all set up. This is all, in my opinion, a hoax. As usual, anything having to do with Trump is probably a hoax. There's so much fakery going on. There's so much lying coming from the media, coming from the Department of Justice and the Biden administration. How many times from the deep state types and the globalist types, and even from, Trump's connected to a lot of that too. That's the thing. You want to talk about, controlling both sides in all of this. The judge that okayed the search warrant on the Mar-a-Lago residence not only is connected to Epstein, which I already talked about in my previous post, was a lawyer for Epstein and all of Epstein's associates, but also Trump appointed that judge in 2018. Reinhardt, the guy who signed off on the very warrant to search Trump's residence for these documents that he illegally took or something like that. So that's why I'm kind of like looking at this. I'm like, maybe this is like, like a Hegelian dialectic or something. But anyways, how many times have these, has the media and these Democrat types lied about Trump? Remember the Very Fine People hoax? Remember P-Gate? Remember, everything to do with January 6th. Remember when they said he told people to drink bleach? Remember when they said that he was keeping kids in cages? This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. The whole Russiagate hoax? How many months of the Russiagate hoax did we go through? And now they're trying to say that he has some sort of documents that, by the way, they're of national security risk that he has them, and it might be a violation of the Espionage Act, but they waited 18 months to raid him right before the midterm elections. Yeah, this isn't a major propaganda psyop. This is a psyop. That's what it is. In my opinion, I see this. That's what I see. Okay? So, am I actually live now, or is it still shitting the bed on me? Because I literally, I'm just so bad. I went live 3 minutes before it actually went live and realized that, but whatever. So, I think I'm actually live now, which is good. Hello, everyone in the chat. By the way, drop a super chat if you have a question or if you have a comment. And then also for Patreons, I just have the link posted. You could drop a comment below on the Patreon if you're a Patreon member. Drop a comment below. I didn't drop the link to actually come in for a call because my computer. I need a new computer. Okay, that's the short and long of it. So let's talk about some of this, guys. Man, this is getting weird, right? I'm telling you, this is the start of World War III. This is the crossing of the Rubicon. This is it. When they're Banana Republic style using the federal police to raid political opponents, done. We're here, guys. This is it. Welcome to the I want to even say this is like post New World Order. We're in post New World Order land. And as soon as the 2024 election comes around and we're into 2025, and let's say Trump does get elected, or you have a bunch of like more anti-establishment types take over the GOP and then actually start like repealing the Federal Reserve Act and like the NFA and reinstating, the Constitution and stuff like that, which I don't really think is going to happen. Let's just say it does, though. Then all of a sudden you'll get the fake alien invasion. They'll come out. They'll try to be like, oh, no, everybody's going to stop. Everyone's going to stop. We need the New World Order. Okay, the aliens say we need the New World Order. Okay, I'm kind of like going off on a rant here. Let's check out what's going on, though. FBI searched Trump's home for nuclear documents and other items, sources say. Whew. Okay, so the FBI search warrant put out after the media firestorm has resulted in the confirmation of this and the possible Espionage Act violation. Let's read this really quick. This is out of Politico. The fake news here. Let's see what the fake news is saying. A search warrant newly unsealed on Friday reveals that the FBI is investigating Donald Trump for a potential violation of the Espionage Act and removed classified documents from the former president's Florida estate earlier this week. A receipt accompanying the search warrant, viewed by Politico in advance of its unsealing, shows that Trump possessed documents including a handwritten note, documents marked with TS/CSI or SCI, which indicates one of the highest levels of government classifications, and another item labeled, quote, info, President of France. Okay, so first of all, I love how this is all about like paper documents, like we're living in the 50s. This is why I kind of like, and I don't remember if this is before the stream cut out or after, but I was mentioning when I first was going live here, but it wasn't actually live yet. I was saying how that the judge that signed off on this search warrant to search Trump's Mar-a-Lago place for the DOJ and the Biden administration, the federal judge, was an Epstein lawyer for Epstein's associates for child sex trafficking and got a lot of them out of that in a settlement. Corrupt. But on not only that, you want to get into conspiracy world here. He was appointed by Trump in 2018. He's a Trump judge. And this is why, people wear tinfoil hats, right? Because when you see something like that, and then you're reading this, and it just reeks of every other smear campaign against Trump, whether it's set up or contrived, whether he knows about it or not, it's kind of like, this is like, there's something more going on here. A lot of this is like all these people in power are just interconnected, and the stories that are presented by them in the media don't make any sense. That's why people like me even have an audience, is because I look at this and I'm just like, okay, that doesn't make sense. You're telling me, first of all, the FBI waited 18 months to search his residence when they knew about this, by the way, since he first left office. He supposedly had nuclear codes is kind of like a hyperbolic meme of it, but like nuclear information that he wasn't supposed to have. That's huge. You're going to wait 18 months. And then, by the way, it's all in paper form documents. Like, okay, maybe I just don't know how it works up there in the West Wing. Okay, maybe they have like file cabinets, right? Here I am thinking it's 2022 and maybe they have like, I don't know, like flash drives or something, like maybe I'm watching too many movies. I don't know. Yeah, I love how he's got like paper documents. They even say he has like photos. Like what? Like Polaroids? What are you talking? He's got photos. You're not talking about Instagram photos on the screen here. We're talking about like documents in a box. Really? That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. It kind of like smells weird to me. It feels funny. Documents? Okay, like in a box? Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I'm the idiot. Of course, I never worked for the government. I never worked for, Department of Justice or in the West Wing or anything like that. Maybe they do have file cabinets, like hundreds of file cabinets worth of documents, and they have like Polaroid photos of like, things the public isn't supposed to know that the president has. He can, by the way, just stuff in his trousers and take to Mar-a-Lago with him on the way out of office. Like, how does that make any sense to me? It just doesn't make any sense. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I know. 100% a psyop, right? Probably. So, also among the items taken from Mar-a-Lago this week, an item labeled Executive Grant of Clemency, Roger Stone Jr., a reference to one of the Trump's closest confidants who received a pardon in late 2020. The warrant shows federal law enforcement was investigating Trump for removal or destruction of records, obstruction of justice, and violating the Espionage Act, which can encompass crimes beyond spying, such as refusal to return national security documents upon request. Conviction under the statutes can result in imprisonment or fines. It's funny that they don't mention this. They say imprisonment or fines. And I'm not trying to, I don't even want to shed light on this. I'm not saying that, this should be what happens. But, it is worth noting. I'm just saying, this is escalating. Back in 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were convicted for violating the Espionage Act, and they were sent to the electric chair and executed. So they were leaking secrets to the Soviet Union. These were two, Russian spies, of course, Jewish, and they were seeking. They were sneaking some of these documents and stuff to the Soviet Union in the late 40s and 50s, and they were convicted of the Espionage Act, and they were executed. This is an escalation. When the FBI is raiding Trump for suspicion of this, if they're investigating him for this, if he's charged with violating this Espionage Act, then he could be, if you look at previous cases, they could try to execute him. I do think they want to execute him, possibly, So, that's one of those things that you got to keep in mind, and it's really, really creepy. It's really bad. So, the documents unsealed after the Justice Department sought their public disclosure amid relentless attacks by Trump and his GOP allies underscore the extraordinary national security threat that federal investigators believed the missing documents presented. The concern grew so acute that Attorney General Merrick Garland approved the unprecedented search of Trump's estate last week. Never happened ever in American history. The raiding of of a former president's residence by the FBI or any federal agency like that. The disclosure of the documents comes 4 days after Trump publicly confirmed the court-authorized search of his Mar-a-Lago home by the FBI, marshaling his political allies to unleash fierce criticism of federal investigators. But the details in the warrant underscore the gravity of the probe, an unprecedented investigation of a former president for mishandling some of the nation's most sensitive secrets. And I'll just say it again. I said it in my previous post. Hillary Clinton did the same exact thing, literally to a T. And she bleached the hard drive, smashed it with a hammer. And by the way, this is why the Hillary Clinton story seems real, because it was a hard drive, right, of classified documents she mishandled and kept in all of, what she did with her emails, mishandling the sending of emails and all this on her personal server or whatever. So this is the same exact thing, except it makes more sense because it's actually digital documents, because that would kind of make more sense. But she destroyed it. She destroyed the evidence. The FBI actually declassified this, but nobody went after her. Nobody persecuted her. Donald Trump said, I remember when he debated her, there was that epic moment where he said, if I were president, you'd be in jail. Everybody screamed, and it was like one of the most epic things ever. This is when the 2016 election debates were happening. This was the debate between him and Hillary. It was like a hugely epic moment, simply because this is before or right at the precipice of politics going from like boring to like kind of fun and like a reality TV show, like, because that's what happened when Trump came in. So I remember it to a T. And of course, he didn't put her in jail. He didn't do nothing. And she's still free. But now that they're back in power, these Democrat types, they're doing it to him. They don't care. So it's the same exact thing. And that's the amazing thing about this whole thing. All right, moving on. Trump has claimed since Monday that he has cooperated with investigators from the National Archives and the FBI for months, and that the unannounced source was an unnecessary escalation, but after several rounds of negotiations in which materials were uncovered by the archives, federal investigators came to believe Trump hadn't returned everything in his possession. So he was already cooperating with them, and then like they suspected he didn't hand everything over, and so they raided him. It's like, okay, they waited till now. There's a reason for this, right? This is a psyop, because let me tell you, in the midterms, there is an opportunity for grassroots movements to come in and kick out some rhinos in the GOP. Because, like, say what you want about the Republican Party. I don't trust Republicans, but you can use the Republican Party as a vehicle, especially in local elections. This is what's happening right now in New Hampshire, especially, and really across the whole country. Libertarian types and just more anti-establishment types are coming in using the Republican ticket, the R next to your name as you run, as a vehicle to actually get into office and to pass legislation that actually protects people's individual liberties and stuff like that, and exposes the system. So you can't just run as an independent. You will not get any, because like half the people that go vote don't even care what they're voting for. They just vote for an R or a D. So and so you have to use one of the parties as a vehicle to get in there, to wiggle yourself in. So the whole idea here is to associate anybody who's anti-establishment on the Republican ticket in the midterms to associate them with like some sort of like madman that stole nuclear codes or something, and they'll probably say he was going to give it to Russia, of course. And this is all set up, guys. This is a hoax, right? This is my opinion. It's a hoax. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that I have like exact like evidence, like 100% proof, but just look at the previous like things, fake stories that came out about Trump. They said he told everyone to drink bleach, guys. They like, remember when they said that he called like a bunch of like neo-Nazis very fine people? Remember when they lied about Covington Catholic high school kids, like just standing there as some Indian was beating a drum in their face, and they said that they were white supremacists? Remember when they lied about Kyle Rittenhouse and said that he like ran around Kenosha like just shooting black people and killing them for no reason, when he was obviously defending himself, and mind you, the people he shot were white? It was the most clear-cut case of self-defense ever recorded, ever on camera, ever. And so I mean, P-Gate, they said that there was a dossier of documents, which they actually funded and sponsored themselves. What was it? The Steele documents, whatever, that said that Trump was colluding with Russia, and that, Russia had blackmail on Trump, that he liked to get peed on by hookers. They called it P-Gate. Anyways, this is the kind of stuff I'm kind of like, okay, like, well, here's another story about Trump. Okay, now he's stealing nuclear codes. Of course, when I say he's stealing nuclear codes, that's not technically the story, but they're saying it's nuclear associated documents. I mean, for all we know, they could come out and say, they could just be using that as like a hard-hitting talking point, and then even their official story will be downplayed, in which it'll be like, oh, he kind of accidentally kept some documents that were related to like Iran nuclear plans, right? They said nuclear documents. So, it's kind of like hyperbole when I say like they're accusing him of stealing nuclear codes, but it's kind of funny to think like Trump. I'd rather see Trump with nuclear codes than Biden, since he can't speak and he can't think and he's literally mentally disabled. I don't know. But at the same time, it's kind of just funny. It's like, do you guys remember Based Stickman? Based Stickman. He was like this dude at like some of these protests, like that he was kind of like a right winger type, and he like would go around with a stick and like he'd whack Antifa, and everyone was like Based Stickman. Well, now the meme now is Trump Based Nuke Man. Just it's like dark MAGA, right? I don't know, the whole thing. I mean, Trump appointed the lawyer. I mean, the judge that actually signed off on this warrant. That's just so shady. By the way, Trump also appointed the FBI director right now, Christopher Wray, who authorized this as well. So it's like, okay, yes, it sort of seems like a revolving door of Hegelian dialectic, psyop. But, hey, when it comes to wrestling, sometimes you're a fan of one and the other, even if you think it's fake, even if you know it's fake. The search warrant signed on August 5th by federal magistrate judge Bruce Reinhart revealed that dozens of items were seized, most of them described in a vague term like a leather-bound box of documents, binder of photos. This is what I'm talking about, a binder of photos. Really, dude? What is this, like the 70s, dude? Like, what are we... like? And a handwritten note. Guys, this is what I'm talking. This is what I think. You know what I think? I think the whole thing is a hoax. I think this whole thing is fake. I don't even think it's like a remnant of truth. Sometimes, you might be able to say like, oh, well, he had a couple documents and he literally just accidentally lost them. And they're trying to say, blow it up into this big thing that it make it bigger than it is. And that's the psyop. No. I think they made this up. And I think it's a total hoax. I will say this. Apparently Trump admitted that, they were asking him for some of the documents back that I don't know, maybe it's routine for presidents to keep like certain documents or something, and they just asked for some of them back as he was exiting office, sort of like an exit interview type thing, and he gave them back. And so they were just like, well, he gave them all back, but we could just say he didn't, and make up a whole thing. Oh yeah, it's just a binder of photos and leather-bound box of highly sensitive documents, related to France or related to Roger Stone. No one likes him. Well, say it has something to do with nuclear documents, so that'll make it seem scarier. And we'll say it's a binder of photos. Oh, that will capture the public's attention. A leather-bound box of documents. This is what I'm talking, guys. Really, flash drives. This is 2022. People store things on flash drives, right? Other items in the list indicate the presence of classified material, describing them as miscellaneous top-secret documents and miscellaneous confidential documents. And apparently, in this search and seizure, they actually, according to them, found some of these documents, and then, by the way, Trump alluded to this fact that some of this stuff was planted. So he went on to say, I don't have the post pulled up, but I read it a couple days ago. So they found 11 binders of classified documents, according to the FBI, DOJ. 11 sets of classified records at Mar-a-Lago. So that's their, quote unquote evidence they got. And, they're going to try to go after Trump for something, Espionage Act, whatever. And so, Yeah. Anyways, so that being said, he's trying to say that it was planted. He posted something on his Truth Social, which I don't have a Truth Social. It's cringe. It's boomer. It's dumb. It's gay. But he posted something that he was basically alluding to this idea that they planted some evidence. He said something about the cameras being turned off and, you know, stuff like that. They went through Melania's closet and her drawers and all this stuff. It's like, come on, man. Anyways, so that's what's going on there. And then, yeah, of course, the judge that signed off on this was the Florida man who was appointed by Trump and the attorney for the Epstein associates. They all just seem to be buddies. A property receipt unsealed by the court shows FBI agents took 11 sets of classified records from the estate during a search on Monday. The seized records include some marked not only top secret but also sensitive, compartmented information, a special category meant to protect the nation's most important secrets that, if revealed publicly, could cause exceptionally grave damage to U.S. interests. The court records did not provide specific details about information of documents and what they might contain. The warrant says the federal agents were investigating potential violations of 3 different federal laws, including the one that governs gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information under the Espionage Act. The other statutes address the concealment, mutilation, or removal of records and destruction, altercation, falsification of records in federal investigations. Hillary Clinton, 33,000 emails. Okay. Rest my case. The property receipt also shows federal agents collected other potential presidential records, including the order pardoning Trump ally Roger Stone, a leather-bound box of documents, information about the president of France, a binder of photos, a handwritten note, miscellaneous secret documents, and miscellaneous confidential documents were also seized and searched. It's really interesting, this connection to the president of France. I was listening to something about how some of these intel agencies have different strengths and weaknesses, and one of France's hugest strengths is like super high tech, spyware and data gathering, like even more than America and Israel. France has like a real niche in sort of the technology area of intel agencies. I forget the name of the France CIA, whatever it's called. I don't even know. I forget. But that's one of their strengths. I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Trump's attorney, Christina Bobb, who was presented at President Mar-a-Lago when the agents conducted the search, signed 2 property receipts. One was 2 pages long and the other that a single page. In a statement earlier Friday, Trump claimed that the documents seized by agents were all declassified and argued that he would have turned them over if the Justice Department had just asked. So that's the other thing. They're saying these are declassified documents anyway. I don't know if that's true or not because we don't know what the documents are. It's probably all made up. While incumbent presidents generally have the power to declassify information, that authority lapses as soon as they leave office. It was not clear if the documents in question have ever been declassified, and if the incumbent powers to declassify may be limited regarding secrets dealing with nuclear weapons programs, covert operations and operatives, and some data shared by allies. So yeah, according to sources, some of these are nuclear documents. Yeah. According to sources close to the investigation. Who knows if when you hear that, it's like, okay, propaganda, fake psyop. At least there's a good chance. You just gotta look at the narrative, right? You just gotta look at the narrative. You gotta look at the narrative, and you gotta say, look, when this narrative was portrayed in the past, and they weren't giving us much evidence to back it up, was it a lie? And every time they tried to chalk some of this stuff up on Trump, without evidence, it was always a lie. Sometimes they had direct contradictory evidence to what they were saying. They were saying that he liked to get peed on. Okay? Remember that? By Russian hookers. And then it turned out the whole entire thing, I know I'm harping and beating a dead horse here, but like, forgive me for not believing this BS, right? Forgive me for thinking there's lies here. Like, I'm not saying the whole thing is totally I'm saying the whole thing is totally fake, okay? That's basically what I'm saying. The Mar-a-Lago search warrant served Monday was part of an ongoing Justice Department investigation into the discovery classified White House records recovered from Trump's home earlier this year. The archives had asked the department to investigate after saying 15 boxes of records it retrieved from the estate included classified records. Yeah. Okay, we get it. Merrick, Garland, Obama administration, using the federal police, NKVD, Gestapo to go after their political opponents. We get it. Now, as a result of this, a lot of people are kind of mad. You have the GOP House filing articles of impeachment for Merrick Garland. They're trying to kick him out. The Attorney General Merrick Garland is facing articles of impeachment immediately after the Democratic Party loses control of the House of Representatives, as it is expected to be the case following the 2022 midterms. So now this could actually happen because there's a good chance the House will be like fully controlled by the GOP. So of course it was Marjorie Taylor Greene that presented this. Merrick Garland. Swamp monster scumbag. Just awful. Just look at this guy. Look at those eyes. Scum. So, so he could get impeached. I don't think he will. I don't think, even if he does, is that really going to go anywhere? It's almost like, when people get impeached now, which is like, it's going back and forth. Trump was impeached, twice? And now it's turning into this almost like pep rally. The impeachment process at this point, nothing ever comes of it. It's just a pep rally for whatever side is impeaching the other. It's a pep rally. You go to the high school pep rally, they're cheering, they're going, "Go team, go team," and then they'll do like a dance or something, or they'll have little games, like a tug of war, the seniors versus the juniors in a tug of war. I remember when I went to my high school prep rally, the football players, I think I was a junior in high school at the time, it was like the junior football players and the football team versus the senior football players and the football team in a tug of war in front of everyone, and the cheerleaders were there, and it was like, pep rally. It was before the, I think the first game, or no, maybe it was in the middle of the football season, but it's a pep rally. That's what this is. Might as well get an impeachment going. Start it now. Hey, it's August. Midterms are coming. Get the impeachment going. Let's go. Let's impeach Garland. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's Trump's number one cheerleader. She's the cheerleader on the sideline. Let's go. TRUMP. So that's the way I see it. Let me check here. Let me check what we got going on here. Let me see if I'm missing any like super chats or anything weird. Here we go. We got a couple. Soren X for $5. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Great show. I've been upset with the woke pop culture funded by BlackRock, ESG, and DIE wokeness is so cringe. DIE. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think you mean. Wokeness is so cringe. Yes, I'm very upset with that. I think it's like one of the biggest cultural threats to the world, if not our country. BlackRock's highly involved, ESG, and that huge modus operandi of how they control culture. I mean, not just economics, but culture. And then this whole climate change push too. But also the diversity, equity, and inclusion. If your company strays away from that in any form or fashion, if you don't share the black square on Instagram, if you don't share the, pretty soon it's going to be like a rainbow flag with warts on it to represent, we stand in solidarity with all the gays who have monkeypox or something. If you don't do that, well then your ESG score will be lowered, investors will divest and withdraw funds, and your stock price will go down. So as a public company, you need to, unfortunately, keep your reputation high. And by the way, it's just like in the Soviet Union, silence is compliance. Silence is compliance. So if you're not actively being an activist for the far left, you'll be considered Pinochet. You'll be considered Julius Evola. You'll be considered Adolf Hitler. The most far right fascist of the fascists. You're a genocidal maniac if you stay silent. So in other words, this happened to a lot of people. A good example of this, now this is mostly with individuals, not corporations, but a good example of this on the individual level was the black square after George Floyd. Everybody on Instagram sharing the black square. If you didn't share, if you just said nothing, if you just didn't post on Instagram, literally like maybe didn't check Instagram that day or something, you were seen as being like a white supremacist. And silence is violence. Not silence is compliance. Silence is violence in their perspective. So yeah, I agree, my friend. Thanks for the super chat. Okay. So now we got something else going on here. The CDC, and here's the thing. This is after 2 years of closing your business, of masking your children, of firing you from your job for not taking an injection that perhaps you didn't want. After 2 years of making you follow those stupid arrows in the grocery store, and if you didn't, Karen would yell at you at the other end of the aisle, while she's getting her fluoridated water for her child in a bottle, right? So after 2 years of all this, and them hounding you for not wearing your facial diaper apparatus, the CDC has now backed off. The CDC has submitted to the will of the people in some ways. I think this actually has to do with, again, the midterms, right? It's just like, remember in 2020, right before the election, of course, you had it was like in the August and September of 2020, all of a sudden, that summer and like into the beginning of the fall, things opened back up, and like even the Democratic governors were like, "Hey, we're gonna ease this up a bit. Everybody can go to the beach this summer, and this fall, go get your pumpkin spice lattes at Starbucks. You don't have to wear your mask, right?" And then right after the election, of course, which Democrats made some gains, surprisingly, they went right back into COVID tyranny. It's like, okay, let's appeal to the middle ground here. Maybe, you can not mask your kid for 2 months while we trick you into electing us. Right? They're like, they rub their hands like this, right? They got to stay warm. Free heat. And that's what they did. And that's what I think that's what they're doing now. Not that anyone really cares about what the CDC says anymore, because they've been caught in so many, am I allowed to say it here? Lies. But this is what they're saying. The new COVID-19 guidance from the CDC, according to NPR.org. You ever listen to NPR? Everyone talks like this. It's like, hey, today in the latest news, this is the newest guidance. Those exposed to the virus are no longer required to quarantine. Unvaccinated people now have the same guidance as vaccinated people. I want everybody to go watch the interview I did with my best bud, Gordy. I think it's called like Standing Up to the New World Order. It must have been like 6 months ago now. I interviewed him, and he was fired from his job. He's making good money. He's the sole breadwinner of his family. He has 3 daughters, 3 baby girls, and a stay-at-home wife. He was the sole breadwinner. They tried to make him get the you-know-what. He said no. They fired him. He had to go find a brand new job in a brand new industry. He's starting his own business now, by the way, too. So things are going to end up being okay for him, of course, because he's the man and he'll just get through whatever. But I'm just saying, like, people's lives were totally turned upside down or destroyed as a result of this. And now they're just coming out and they're saying, well, just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, yeah. If you're unvaccinated, vaccinated, don't matter now. Don't matter. Yeah. It was all BS. It was all BS. Sorry, guys. It's like, oh, after all that, you're just saying everything's good now? Everything's just, okay. Unvaccinated people now have the same guidance as vaccinated people. So it doesn't matter now. Doesn't matter. According to the CDC. Students can stay in class after being exposed to the virus. It's no longer recommended to screen those without symptoms. I didn't even know it was recommended to screen those without symptoms. So, there you go. It was all for nothing. After 2 years of dystopian nightmare from some sort of science fiction movie, it's all just a gotcha. Just kidding. But this winter, they'll ramp it back up. After these November elections, these midterms, they'll ramp it back up probably, and then they'll throw some monkeypox in there. They'll say you gotta watch out for the monkeypox, and they'll be like yeah. I'm not gonna go on a gay rant, but you get where I'm going with that. And let's check out what Dr. Fauci said about himself. He thinks he's the coolest guy ever. So let's check this out. Dr. Fauci. He says, people now go into medical school and into science because of him. Because of him, essentially. And he tries to play it off like he's being humble a little bit here, too. Oh, this guy is such a scum. Oh, he's so scummy. I mean, just look at this little ferret, like, ugh. He's like a bug that needs to be squashed.
It's called the Fauci effect, which is sort of like, trust me, I don't get excited about that. I mean, it's nice, but I mean, people go to medical school now. People are interested in science, not because of me, because most people don't know me, who I am. My friends know me, my wife knows me, but people don't know me. It's what I symbolize. And what I symbolize in an era of the normalization of untruths and lies and all the things you're seeing going on in society from January 6th to everything else that goes on, people are craving for consistency, for integrity, for truth, and for people caring about people. It's called the Fauci effect, which is sort of like,
So he thinks that, he is the arbiter of truth, the symbol of truth and honor. And that's why people are now going to medical school, essentially. He's kind of like hinting at this idea. These people are just so delusional. He's like, not that I revel in this or anything. This guy, it looks just awful. And now, like, everything he's been saying, it was all just, now the vaccinated and unvaccinated, according to this is the CDC saying this, not me. Okay, because here at YouTube, we have to abide by the guidelines of the WHO. I don't even know what they're saying now. So I have no clue, right? Maybe I should be wearing, I might be breaking the rules of YouTube right now by not wearing a mask while I make this video alone in my apartment. Who knows? I haven't checked their guidelines since, 2020. But CDC's guidelines now, it's just basically they're saying it doesn't matter in terms of their guidance, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. They have the same guidance according to that. It's all for nothing. All for nothing. Isn't that wonderful? Now, this is where it gets creepy. If you don't like the culture war stuff, maybe you should just tune out now. I don't like this stuff, but it's just so important that we expose this is what it is. Here's the thing. The average person doesn't understand how deep this rabbit hole goes. They don't understand how over the top some of this propaganda is that is now being pushed on children. Some of these services they're offering. This is the Boston Children's Hospital. The Boston Children's Hospital touting hysterectomies and surgeries and mutilations for trans kids. Okay, trying to promote it like an ad. I mean, I can't even. This is true Sodom and Gomorrah level. True Sodom and Gomorrah level.
Gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus.
This is the Boston Children's Hospital. This is for kids. Okay, not covertly, overtly, flagrantly, out in the open, an ad. This was on their YouTube channel. They deleted it, by the way. An ad trying to promote hysterectomies and other quote-unquote gender-affirming surgeries for children. Gender-affirming surgeries. That's what they call it. Okay? All it means is cutting off sexual organs, plastic surgery and things like that on children to make them look like a different gender. Because they feel different. I feel different. Like a 5-year-old. Oh, I feel like, I want to put on a dress and play with a doll for a day. Oh. Blue-haired lesbian mom freaks out. It's like, oh, let's have a party. Invite over all our lesbian friends. Our little boy that we adopted is trans. He wants to play for a doll for a day. He's trans. Call up the Children's Boston Hospital and schedule the surgery, the weenie chop.
Some gender-affirming hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus. Some gender-affirming hysterectomies will also include the removal of the ovaries, but that's technically a separate procedure called a bilateral oophorectomy. And not every gender-affirming hysterectomy includes that, and people who are getting gender-affirming hysterectomies do not have to have their ovaries removed.
A lot of this is permanent, by the way. And then they'll put the kid on, I already talked about this. Just look at watch the interview I did with Nicole Solis, who's now suing the state of Rhode Island, or the school board, suing the school board for CRT-related subjects. I might have to interview her again. Rhode Island mom that has been highly critical of CRT and this gender-affirming education and surgeries. But we were talking about how they're giving, obviously hormones. Just, you could also watch this is common sense if you're one of my viewers. But a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. The average person, like if you were to tell them, did you know the Boston Children's Hospital has ads like trying to, entice parents to, have their children's genitals mutilated? They'll be like, "What? You're nuts. You're nuts. Get out of here. Get out of here, bro. Bro, go home, dude. Like you're lying. You're lying." You cannot make this shit up, dude. You cannot make this shit up. It's so funny. It's so bad. Oh my God! Look at this girl too. She looks like she's about to. Whoever this is, I think it's. I don't know. What was it, like a teenage, like maybe it could be a trans person for all I know. And that's the other thing with like these trans girls. It's so deceptive. You know, I'm on these dating apps, and you swipe one right, and you don't even know. And then you got to look at the dating app, and it says, you know, down in the bio, once you match with them, this is a trans person. You have no clue. You know, it's like what's her name? Blair White, right? This is deceptive. It's wrong. It's wrong, in my opinion. You're deceiving people, right? You know, half these people, this is why, like, even, like, you never know. Like, at least some of them put it in the bio, right? Some of them might not, for all you know, right? And then, you know, if you find... You know, if you're someone single out there, you're going out on dates or you meet somebody, you just don't know anymore, man. This is how creepy the world is. I mean, it really is like, man, I just want to shelter myself. I'm moving up to New Hampshire. I'm kind of going to be in like a small city, but soon I'm just going to be out in the boonies by myself. I don't want to go on any dates. I don't want nothing to do with any of this BS. Like, this is getting weird, man. Like... I'm done. I just want a dog and a cat, and I'm gonna live out in the mountains. And I don't know, like I'll just be a monk, right? I'll go monk mode. I'm just gonna go like, what do they call it? Yeah, monk mode, right? Monk mode, where you know, you don't date, you don't have sex, you don't watch porn. You just go out into the mountains and you meditate and read the Bible. Until the end of time, dude. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. Because look at this. And then, so this person, she looks like she's going to flip out. Like, look at her. She looks like a Karen.
Hysterectomy is very similar to most hysterectomies that occur. A hysterectomy itself is the removal of the uterus, the cervix, which is the opening of the uterus, and the fallopian tubes, which are attached to the sides of the uterus.
I mean, she looks, she like her mannerisms seem like she... Like if you even, do you know what I'm talking? I don't know if any of you know what I'm talking about. There's certain like types of like leftists where it's like you could tell at the drop of a hat if you even hint at the idea that you disagree with giving sterilization drugs to 5-year-olds or, you know, mutilating 12-year-olds. They will freak out on you. Okay. And this is the vibe I pick up from her. She's kind of like, hello, I am a Karen. My name is blah, blah, blah. And we have hysterectomies for kids here at the Boston Medical Hospital. Oh, these people make me sick. They make me sick. Anyways. Oh my goodness. What do I do? By the way, if you're a Patreon member, you could what's up, Miss Maskless? you can drop like comments in the Patreon the comment section under it. We still got a little bit more to talk about here. And I'll read the comments because I'm refreshing that. And then super chats too. So, by the way, you know, they're trying to promote this idea at the Boston Children's Medical Hospital for transitioning children. Surgery, some of it is irreversible. I guess not all of it is, right? Okay, whatever. But you have this subreddit, so if anyone's out there, and I doubt there's anybody out there listening that is thinking about going trans, I doubt it. But I'm saying if there is, or if you know somebody that is, I should say, because that's a real risk, right? You should link them to this Reddit, this subreddit, reddit.com/r/detrans. And 37,000 members, all detransitioners. So a lot of these are minors or were minors that transitioned when they were minors, regretted it. Some have lifelong effects from this. Some don't. There's that famous one. I forget her name already. You see her in interviews. Kirsch? I think her last name's Kirsch. Something Kirsch. But she, you know, as a kid, you know, got involved with one of these sort of like Tumblr type forums that went on to affirm her questions about whether or not she was trans and wanted to transition to a boy. And, you know, first it'll start off like, oh, you know, I just got my hair cut. How do I look? And, you know, they'll post a photo on the Tumblr of all these leftists and LGBT types, and they'll affirm them, especially if this is somebody who's insecure, doesn't have many friends, is going through a hard time in their lives, especially as a teenager, which you're highly, highly vulnerable to that as a teenager. And then you're getting like the feeling of inclusivity and being involved in an in-group in the LGBT community, and they sort of groom you into going down to like Planned Parenthood and asking for hormones because you think you're trans, right? And they'll just give you the hormones, right? So if you're like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, oftentimes they'll either highly encourage your parents to sign off on it and shame them if they don't, or they'll be like, you just gotta wait till you're 18. You just gotta wait till you're 18, and then you come in, and you're 18, and then you get the hormones, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're turning into the opposite gender, and then, God forbid, you get some sort of mutilation type plastic surgery of, you know, cutting off the breasts or something. I mean, that's just so awful. I feel so bad for those women. Like, think about that. Oh, you know, you're manipulated as like a 16-year-old, and then, you know, it's just awful. And then you can't have children. You know, a lot of these people, you know, this is a huge epidemic, guys. This is crazy. This is going on. Like, everybody knows somebody who has like a friend or a kid or something like that is trans. And this is the type of stuff they're going to have to deal with if/when they start to regret taking all those hormones or getting that surgery. What if it's just a phase? And for so many it is. I would argue for probably most of them at this point it is. You know? Because it's seen as cool. And that's the problem. How many things did you do as a teenager that seemed like it was cool, that now you look back and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? You know? To be part of a crowd, to be part of a group, to make your friends think you were cool or hardcore. I did so many crazy things. I was tapped, but it was nothing like this. Totally opposite. Like, you know, off-roading on the highway and stuff like that. Like crossing the median with, like, you know, 10 people in the car and, you know, getting pulled over, you know, with, you know, just crazy stuff. All the time. We just, you know. So I mean, like, imagine that, but like you're kind of like this more introverted person on the internet, and you're alienated in real world, and then all of a sudden you're groomed into this community. Or it can happen right in the real world with, you know, you're a theater kid, right? You're a theater kid, all the other kids are gay, all the other kids are transitioning or thinking about it or talking about it, and then you're the one that actually takes that step to get the testosterone or estrogen hormones, or takes that step to get your testicles removed, or takes that step to get your breasts removed. This is really I mean, I can't believe we're even talking about this stuff. But this is so this subreddit, though, is everybody who regretted it and came back and said, like, look, I read one of the threads, man, it's bad. It was actually on Twitter, but I think this person posted on this subreddit too, how they were a boy, got their penis chopped off, and now they were stuck with like a nub, right? They would get like morning wood, and it would be like a nub. Dude, it's actually really not funny. It's actually awful. And then they also, like, they can't feel love anymore because of the hormones, like, mess with their brain, and they can't even, like, they get numbness in their like crotch groin area, so they can't have like sexual feelings anymore. All of this stuff, I mean, like, awful, just horrendous things for life, all because they were conned by Tumblr. Like, whoa. And this is going on like on a mass scale, and I just, well, here's it. So if you know anybody, I would at least link them to this reddit.com/r/dtrans subreddit, right? It's a subreddit called dtrans. So I mean, you can find it pretty easily. And, this is people's stories of regretting it. I think this would be helpful for people that are unfortunately going, the path of Satan, right? The path of the Antichrist, right? The trans path. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. I just want to help people, man. I'm just a regular guy, dude. Just a regular guy. Let me see here. How's everyone feeling out there, huh? All right, so let's go on to the next story here. It's very similar. The same LGBT stuff. This is a sexual liberation theology. This is where it ends up. This is the end game. Sexual liberation theology. It started in the 60s. This idea that we don't have to worry about waiting till marriage. Everybody can just screw whoever they want. Eventually, that opens up the door to say, if you're going to say that, well, then why not open up the door to the same gender, the same sex, having sex and all that, homosexuality. And then after that, it's like, well, why not just play with gender? Okay, we'll just transition. We'll take hormones. We'll do whatever we want. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, why not just the kids? Now everybody's going to cut off their genitals. And so, like, where does it end, though? Where does this end? It seems like it's just getting worse and worse. 5 years ago, some of the stuff I'm talking about here, giving kids sterilization drugs. 5 years ago, that's like, if you told someone, they'd be like, no way. Now it's like mainstream news. Boston Children's Hospital is promoting it. Not the sterilization drugs, but the surgery. It's probably involved. They probably giving people drugs too. And where does this end? Well, this ends. I'll show you where it ends. It ends in something called MAPS. And I've talked about this, I think. Actually, I talked about this a long time ago. I remember. I've been talking about this for a while. They're minor attracted persons. Okay. Yeah. So let's watch what this licensed sex counselor in Pennsylvania has to say about minor attracted persons and how we need to accept them as being just totally awesome.
Folks, my name is Miranda. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist in Erie, Pennsylvania. And today I want to talk about minor attracted persons. And I want to talk about minor attracted persons because they are probably the most vilified population of folks in our culture. And most folks are making incorrect assumptions about them without actually knowing much about them. And those assumptions create harm for an already marginalized population. You may have noticed that I'm using the term minor attracted persons, sometimes abbreviated to MAPS, instead of the more commonly used term pedophile. And I'm doing this because the term pedophile has moved from being a diagnostic label to being a judgmental, hurtful insult that we hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them.
First of all, yes, it's judgmental. Judgment is a good thing. I hate this idea that, like, I understand, like you don't want to judge people if you're a hypocrite. Like, if you're not, you don't want to be a hypocrite. You don't want to judge people for doing things when you're doing just as bad things or something like that. Because Jesus did teach that. Do not point out what's in the other person's eye if you got a log in your eye or whatever. But the idea that we shouldn't judge, we shouldn't make any judgments, we shouldn't judge people based on their actions and their morality is insane. That's exactly what you should be doing. We need more judgment. So yes, we don't like pedophiles. Yes, that's exactly correct. We judge them. It's supposed to be judgmental. It's supposed to have an air of ridicule to it. That's not a good thing. So if somebody really is that, I don't want them being called that in a non-judgmental way. I want them being judged for it. I want them being looked at as predators, as evil. That's the point. So why would we stray away from using that term that carries that air to it? Is that the right word? That carries that aura with it. You want that. You want to use that. What? Anyways, that's almost like, regardless. Like, this is what they're trying to push now. They're trying to normalize this. And they're relabeling it maps. And it's working. It's working. It's really, really crazy. Like, look at this. These are professionals, okay? These are licensed professionals going on and on about this. This isn't even, what do you call it? This isn't even a fringe anymore in the left.
Hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them. I also prefer person-first language that recognizes that any label we might apply to a person is only part of who they are and doesn't represent everything that they are. We are all people first with many different facets or parts of ourselves, and this includes folks who are attracted to minors.
This is called pedophile apologism. She's an apologist for the pedos. Scum. I bet you...
So to start with, let's talk about what a minor attracted person is or who they are. This term simply means that the person has an enduring sexual or romantic attraction to minors. They've not chosen this attraction, just as the rest of us have not chosen whatever our attraction is. You don't get to choose to be heterosexual or to be gay or whatever you are. And you don't get to choose to be a minor attracted person. Some minor attracted persons are attracted to a specific age range of minors, while some are not. And some minor attracted persons are exclusively attracted to minors and are not attracted to adults at all. Some minor attracted persons are also attracted.
Oh my goodness, just so incredibly awful and cringe. These people need to be thrown into the lake of fire, metaphorically. I'm done. I think we're done here. This is gross. I mean, this whole thing, it doesn't get any creepier. It just doesn't get any creepier. It's a total crap show. These people are awful. I want them out of my country. I want these people out of my country. That's what I want. I want them gone. Gone. Exiled. And let me tell you, when they pass away, they will be thrown into the lake of fire. Christ will throw these people in the lake of fire. These are Satan's minions. This is a demonic movement. The LGBT map, child mutilation, gender affirming BS, sterilization of children. This is a demonic schism. Okay, this is a schism, guys. Okay, this is a divergent timeline of humanity that is driving itself straight into the depths of Hades. Okay, and maybe we just need to separate from them, right? And then separate from them, maintain our Second Amendment rights, or keep the guns, separate from them, just stand our ground. Make sure they don't come anywhere near us, right? Homeschool your kids or send them to a private school. Sometimes you can get a good public school if it's in a small town too. But you got to be vigilant here. We got to protect our kids from these people trying to indoctrinate them, trying to manipulate them, trying to brainwash them, trying to turn them into evil little communists, getting their breasts and genitals mutilated and getting sterilized by the state, okay, and encourage all that stuff, trying to put facial diaper apparatuses on them, inject them with substances that, are questionable, all of this, right? So these people need to be purged. Purged. I want them like out of my country. That's all I can say. I just want them out of the country. Really, it's like I don't want this. I don't want this anywhere near anybody I know or me or my family or anything like that. Just get it off the screen. Get it off the screen. You know, it's like a tick. It's like a mosquito. You don't like those things. Get them out of here. It's like that feeling like when you wake up. I don't know if you ever woke up with like a spider on your arm crawling or something. Even spiders. It's like an unfair judgment of spiders to even compare these people to spiders. But you know, like if it's like a bug crawling on you and it's like, ugh, and you're like, ah, that feeling right there when you first see it and you're like, ugh. That's the feeling I get from these people constantly. It's like being in a perpetual state of, ugh, get it off. What is that? No, I'm just ranting. I'm ranting. Okay. So, let me know what you think, guys. I think that's it for the show. I think that about sums it up. Thank you everybody for attending the show. If you want to contribute to my work, I have a Patreon and a PayPal in the description box below. You can join that, and it's a good way to like send a super chat without actually super chatting. So if you're a Patreon member, I'm gonna let people. Eventually, I'm gonna let people come on, but like I've been having like live stream issues, like at the beginning of the stream. But also you can just like put a comment in the Patreon like thread, and I'll read it, or you can super chat. So you can do either one of those things: become a Patreon member, or super chat for the next show, and we'll try to do some more live shows here. And also follow me on BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble. So I'll be doing exclusive streams on like Odyssey and stuff soon too. And follow me on Gab and Twitter. As always, it's been Press. Keep your head up, stay real, and no fear.